Hey guys, Mustang here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so today I'm going to start putting up the videos for the Cell Max missions. I did record some of these before I went away for the weekend, but obviously I needed to get the commentary recorded and stuff like that. So we're going to start off with the Artificial Lifeforms mission, and this is the first one that I actually attempted. So in this video we do actually get the 8 turns mission as well. I'll see, depending on the way the teams play out, I can potentially do that with the other showcases as well. The team that I'm going to be using for Signature Pose, I imagine, probably gets it done in 8 turns as well. So it is 2 missions for the price of 1, but as you can see from the thumbnail and probably the title, this is without using Gamma 1 and 2, because I know a lot of people either didn't want to summon for them based on the things that are coming up next or coming up in the, towards the end of the year, or you just did summon on them and you didn't get very lucky, right? So it's all well and good when these new units come out for people to make videos that are like, hey, look, here's how you beat Artificial Lifeforms, and it's using, like, Rainbow Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. So I wanted to make a video using it without them. Of course, if you do have them, it makes it much, much easier. You can swap out a lot of the units on this team for them instead, and then obviously you're going to be good to go. So I'm thinking about the orbs to pick up here. I'm kind of stalling a little bit because basically my plan in the early turns here, so just to talk about the Cell Max missions in general a little bit, with the way that they changed the units, right? Signature Pose or Special Pose and Artificial Lifeforms characters now do extra damage to Cell Max. Now the problem with that is a lot of the better units for the Cell Max event need a certain amount of time to build up. They either need to attack a certain amount of times, they need to be attacked a certain amount of times, or in the case of AGL Cell, who obviously we are using double Cell leads, we want him to be already transformed into Perfect Cell by the time we get to the Tech Cell Max phase. Because against one enemy, Perfect Cell is when we're going to have all of our abilities built-in chance to dodge, built-in chance to crit, and then, I mean, I'm not going to lie, a lot of this fight, there is going to be some RNG related, because unless you get very lucky with the attack placements, it's very unlikely that every single turn, you're just going to be able to put AGL Cell in a slot where there are no attacks. So you're obviously relying on that dodge, especially if a super attack is going to come his way. Now, if he gets multiple super attacks, mine is Rainbow, so again, not, I guess, necessarily the best example, but mine can tank normal attacks from the Tech Cell Max after he gets off a couple of supers and has, like, support on the rotation, stuff like that. Now, a 55% AGL Cell, probably not going to be as easy to do, but as we've discussed with a lot of these missions lately, not just the Cell Max ones, but the event from the Worldwide Download Celebration, you have to remember that these missions, especially for this event, right, which is one of the hardest events in the game, if not the hardest, just based around how hard he hits and how few units can actually survive in this event, these missions are end game content. So if you can beat Cell Max with your best team, but you can't do this mission because you don't have a good Artificial Lifeforms team, then it's not the end of the world, right? We are probably going to get, at some point, I would imagine, a duo Gammas unit, potentially as an LR, when they release more hero stuff. And the Gammas obviously will come back on future Heroes-related banners. A lot of people are anticipating if we are going to see some form of new Gohan or Piccolo unit before the end of the year, the Gammas could return on that banner, even though it is obviously not a long time after their initial release. Same thing happened with Physical Goku Black a few years ago. He came out and then he was featured on the AGL Rosé banner, which was it on both versions at the same time? I don't think it was, but he'd only just come out on JP or Global, or even both, because Global used to follow the schedule a lot more strictly back then than it does now. But yeah, so he came out very soon afterwards. So the Gammas could potentially be back on another banner before the end of the year. So if you find yourself unable to do any of these missions, then, you've always got time to build up your box and be able to beat them in the future. I'm going to do the Special Pose one. I already recorded the run before, obviously, we got the news update that the Resurrection of F Blue's celebration is next, which brings with it the Easy A for Tech LR Ginyu Force, and they will definitely make the run easier, right, if you want to use the Ginyu Force team to do the special pose mission. And then, of course, on the Resurrection of F Blue Goku and Vegeta banner, their side banner unit is that new AGL Jacko that has like a built-in 70% chance to dodge. He could definitely be good on this event for people who are kind of struggling with making a good special pose team. So anyway, we managed to get the timing down just right. Like, I tried to stall off super attacks wherever possible, although unfortunately the Cell team obviously does link very, very well, so sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than other times to not get supers. But here we are at Tech Cell Max. We have Cell transformed. We have Metal Cooler here. Metal Cooler is basically on the team just to be like a revive slave, because he will not take attacks all that well, especially a super. Like, even if he's built up and has supered already, he will get taken out by a super attack. But he's basically just here to give that second chance at surviving, right? Because imagine if the third slot unit on this turn was STR second form Cell, and then he eats a super, then we just die and it's game over. Whereas at least if Metal Cooler eats a super in slot 3 and dies, we revive and then we can carry on. So obviously, Tech 16, bit of an MVP for this event. Tanks very, very well against Cell Max. He needs a full Androids / Cell Saga rotation to get his guaranteed guard. So obviously on this turn, he wasn't the best. And then, of course, my AGL Cell, I did mention his tanking ability earlier, but of course stuck on this rotation where he doesn't really have a lot of links or a lot of support. He was taking quite a lot of damage. And then honestly there, I actually thought that we were going to fail the run, because Metal Cooler didn't die. I genuinely expected him to die in the third slot, and then we'd get the revival and get the heal. But alas, he still took 200k from a normal attack. But here we are, still alive. And the rotation is locked in a way that I don't particularly want to play out. So we go ahead and use AGL Cell's Rage Mode. A bit annoying to get key for him sometimes. He does give himself a little bit extra, so you do only need to pick up 4. But a nice little advantage to this is that he does get guaranteed crits. And then look at this. Obviously, we don't actually take the damage, but because of type disadvantage and the fact that technically the Giant 8 forms don't really have any defense, the Cell Max super attack does 2.2 million damage and 600k on the normal attack. So obviously, fortunately, we don't actually have to take any of that damage because we are invincible for the turn. And then, of course, this is big as well, getting these additional super attacks because they are guaranteed crits. Like, that's an extra 3.5 million damage that we got to do for free. So that obviously is very, very helpful. I'm not a huge fan of the rage modes a lot of the time, but this is when they can be great. Same with like Janemba on Cooler's team. Like, because a lot of the time, if you don't transform, like Cell Max is one of the events where it's very different, right? Because in a lot of other stages, if you don't transform into the rage mode or giant form mode or whatever it is, your rotation is probably going to do more damage overall because of how hard all the individual units hit. But against Cell Max, I mean, that was one of those nightmare turns where he double supered. But because we used the rage mode, we lived. Whereas if that was this turn where he's going to super in slot 1 and slot 3, then I think we would literally be dead. I mean, LR Cell, aged that he has, taking 53k from normal attacks. Like, if we got supered in slot 1 here, it would just be GG. So I think either AGL Cell dodges a super here, or we just get really lucky and he doesn't super. Which is kind of what I was keeping my fingers crossed, right? Because he double supered last turn, that maybe the RNG would be a little bit more forgiving. But look at Cell just absolutely going off here. We didn't get the crit on the additional, but he did a lot of damage here all by himself. And of course, now I'm sweating that STR second form Cell is going to eat the super, because he will just get one shot immediately. Wiped from existence. He takes, what, 160k from a normal attack? But this is where we seal the deal. I think even without the rage mode, we would be good here to win this turn. I mean, even if the rage mode wasn't going to kill him, we should be able to win this turn because we have the full Android / Cell Saga rotation. We have Android 16 in slot 1 to defend, and then obviously AGL Cell in slot 2 would be able to finish off whatever was left after those attacks. But I believe, I don't know if we get lucky with additional super, but I'm pretty sure the rage mode here is what actually finishes him off. And again, like I say, this is one of those events where the rage mode is actually very, very useful, because getting these guaranteed crits, we get another additional super. So I think actually if we look at the amount of damage we do, I think the additional super might have been the deciding factor, because in the middle slot we didn't actually get enough key to super attack, and then he gets another additional super. So yeah, we definitely got very good RNG, but as I say, if we didn't get any of those additional supers, he would have been left on that final health bar. 16, probably wouldn't have been able to finish him off. I say probably, he wouldn't have been able to finish him off. And then ideally AGL Cell in slot 2 would have got the finish and we still would have been good. But I mean, you never know, he could have supered in slot 1 and 16 not guard. He would still take a decent amount of damage and maybe we could have died. So the rage mode did definitely come in clutch there from the AGL Cell, using both of them in the run and actually using it to finish him off. So there you go. That is the Artificial Life Forms mission of the Cell Max event, done without using Gamma 1 or 2 on the team. Obviously, not necessarily even the best build of the Cell team. I always forget that the Tech Androids and 19 and Jiro aren't on Artificial Life Forms, because I used them on a video I did not long ago of actually beating Cell Max with the with the AGL Cell team, and they were both very useful units on there. But there you go, you can see both the missions, 8 turns in Artificial Life Forms, completed and accepted. So let me know what teams you guys used down below in the comments section. I'll get the special pose and the no items videos up over the next day or so as well, and let me know all your thoughts on these missions. Which ones could you do, which ones could you not do? Let me know in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.